Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday, unless it's Sunday morning for you over in New Zealand or Australia. So, hello, and welcome to another roundup. It's been a busy week here for me. I don't know how's the week been going for you folks.
Busy,
yeah. Yes, but great.
We have WikiTree week coming up, so.
Oh wow! So you've got so much to do to prep for that, don't you?
Getting stuff ready for that.
Yeah.
I hope everybody likes it.
I have some emails I'm supposed to have responded to probably about that as well. Yeah, that's good. So we're lucky to have our forest elf with us. Joining us as a special guest. She's going to be talking about some projects, and Sandy is filling in again for Betsy. It's great having you here, Sandy. If you haven't watched this week's Hacktoberfest LiveCast, which was on Thursday, it was a little bit later because I had to play for a funeral, and so that was delayed. But Sandy was one of our special guests, and she talked about something that Ian had added to the WikiTree browser extension, which was very
DNA brick wall help.
Yeah.
Hopefully, brick wall help.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be cool. So at some point, if it comes up, we could actually show that little feature as well. Just do a little quick preview.
I actually got to join that. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I did see you in the comments there. That was great.
Mm-hmm. How has Hacktoberfest been going overall?
It's been going well. It's interesting. Like every Hacktoberfest is a bit different, right? And this year the focus, if people don't have something specific in mind, Rob Pavey has opened up the WikiTree Sourcer, put that on GitHub, and made that an open source project, and has invited other people to join and to pick a source that isn't already included in WikiTree Sourcer and add the code so that you can go to that site and get citations and integrate it into the WikiTree Sourcer extension. And so all of that work is being done now and will be officially available after Hacktoberfest when he vets all that and publishes it. But there's a number of different places. There's some French sites that have been added, and some German. Let's see. There's a number of them that have been added. So that's pretty cool stuff. So.
Great.
And
Great
I've been
news.
working on some stuff very slowly, but I've got some people who are helping me, including Lisa Gervais, who's in the chat right now, is doing some documentation for one of my apps. So that's exciting. Ambar has been helping me with the mystery box. So yeah, lots of things have been happening. So
great.
So anyways, once again, I have played the start of the, the roundup by blabbering. So I'm going to turn it over to Denise to introduce our special guest, or to continue on.
Okay. Usually you go through and say hey to the folks that are on there.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even do that. Oh my goodness. I am really slipping up. Thank you.
Get it together, Greg.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to be fired. Oh, this will be the last week. No, hopefully not.
You're going to have to take a pay cut.
Pay cut. That's right. So Melanie's here. Melanie was the first one in. My goodness. Welcome, Melanie and Fiordalisi, Judy Stutz, Mojave Lynette is here. Rick Leland from just south of me in Ontario here is also D. Spencer Carr. John Tyner I saw was here. Have to scroll because all these early people chat amongst themselves, which is excellent. That's perfect. Judith Fry is here as well. It's afternoon where John is, by the way. EDK. Margaret Tull, and let's see, Tia is here, and Murray Maloney. Hi there, Murray. How you doing? Susie Carta, Rick Cleland is here. Chris Ferriolo, Holly. Hey there, Holly. I love the little pink mitten that she has.
It's nice.
Who else is here? Oh, Susie Casey Quilts from Ottawa. Excellent. And Angie Osoria from Philly.
Osoria.
Osoria. Okay, thank you. Do you know Angie?
Yes.
Excellent. And Tommy Buck is here. Kathy Luck. Luck and Luck.
Luck and luck.
And DA Brown Consulting is here, which is a former guest. We had Deborah, I think.
Delbert. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Deborah.
Yes.
Yes. So here we go. That's the official welcomes. And sorry if I've missed you, but anyways, welcome to everyone who's watching live, and watching to everyone who's watching after the fact on the replay. So now I'm
All
done.
right. And again, welcome everyone. That's okay. It's been a busy week. It's been a crazy week for Greg. Well, for all of us, it sounds
I need my TARDIS.
We've had a very busy week, and we've got some busy weeks coming up. Today, my special guest for Behind the Branches, I'm so happy to have her. I've tried and tried and tried, and finally, hey, the forest elf Eowyn. But guess what? She's here not to talk about all of her duties as a forest elf, but to actually share with us some information about the Latter-day Saints Project. Actually, she's a project leader on that project, and so she's agreed to come and just talk a little bit about that project and what it does and what the mission is and things of that nature. How you doing, Eowyn?
I am doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Good.
I think
We're excited to have you.
I think it's the first time you and I have really gotten to be, face to face, really.
This is true. This is true. Yeah. I'm usually on the other side where I'm one of those that's sending out messages while you and others are hosting programs. So
Yep.
yeah, this is a big change, but this is another great guest. I've had the opportunity to get so many. Now, we know that the Latter-day Saints is a religious project, but how did you get involved with this, with everything else that you've got going on?
So, yeah, I had nothing. It's fine. I have lots of time. It's been around for quite a while, and I actually started it as an LDS Pioneers project. I think it was me. It was a long time ago, so if anyone else out there also started that with me, I apologize. I've forgotten. I'm sorry. But I have pioneers in my family. My mom's side, they're all pioneers. And so it seemed like a fun idea to have a project to kind of get them categorized and have some nice profiles for them and kind of go from there. Categories were still really new back then. Like, projects weren't that old. So it was kind of, let's just see what happens. And then we started kind of doing more umbrella type projects. That's why we have the religion project over, yes, the LDS project has its own badge, but it was one of those ones that was grandfathered in, when we started doing more of the umbrella type projects. But yeah, it started with the pioneers. And then somebody messaged me one day and asked about doing like the early leaders of the church and some of the early saints of the church. Jamie, I think, is the one who started a Mormon battalion team. So we kind of just had these different teams that have popped up over time. The project has kind of been like this with activity, but I'm hoping to kind of rejuvenate it and have a little bit more structure and focus with it.
Awesome. Do you guys have a lot of volunteers today?
There are people in it, but it's totally like due to me not having the time to really lead it like it could be led. It could be a really big thriving project, and I would love to see it be that. So I'm hoping people will come out of the woodwork. I've had actually quite a few people respond to the G2G post, with some of the teams they want, and some people just they've found they have Mormon ancestors, so they're just kind of they want to focus on that, and I think that's great too. I'd love to have the project there to support people who are just trying to research their ancestors, but also have the teams that are really working on those LDS profiles. When we were looking for ones for connection checkers, I saw quite a few that I was like, that one could be better. That one could be better. So, yeah, I just would love to rejuvenate. My plan is to go through the people who commented in the post and then just get with our Google group and see if we can get some teams going and maybe find some team leaders and see what we can do.
Yeah, I know. I first became aware of the LDS project, or at least the Latter-day Saints and how involved it was as an organization a couple years back when I had one of my team members on the U.S. Black Heritage Project who was an LDS member. And so her focus was doing the African Americans that are part of that religion.
Mhm.
So that
Awesome.
opened my eyes a lot to
Very cool.
that religion. How about other projects? Are you migrating or working with other projects to get more assistance in creating profiles and developing the history of the members?
I think that will be a great step to start taking. I would love to do that. There's certainly, the saints pretty much cross the country. So
Mhm.
there's plenty, they've touched a lot of places. I have ancestors actually who came from Switzerland and Italy and came over, so it touches in a lot of places. It would be great to coordinate with some of the, like USBH, like you were saying. And I know Westward Ho, I was thinking about this about Sandy the other day, like there's definitely crossover there for sure. So I think there's plenty of opportunity for it. It's just, I'm hoping to motivate some people and be able to spend a little bit more time on it myself. So
yeah,
but I would love it. If you're a project leader, reach out.
yes,
We'll make it happen. So
we've got a lot of motivational projects going on in WikiTree, like the symposium that's coming up. So, a lot of you, even if you're not project leaders today, you could be leaders tomorrow. You can be coordinators. You can assist.
Coordinators, team leader.
Exactly. You can be a
Lots
team
of ways.
leader. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do to assist on this project.
You could just be my friend. That's cool too.
Isn't everyone your friend, AO1? You're so
That
friendly.
was going to be my comment.
Aw. I hope so. I love people.
All the forest elves. Okay, well, we won't take up too much more of your time. I know we've got Sandy here. I'm sure she's got some interesting things to share with us today, as well as Vicki. And Greg has a list of people to run through today. So I won't take up any more of your time. But again, thank you for coming, Eowyn, and sharing the information about the Latter-day Saints. And for those of you listening today or listening later on in the future, feel free to check out the Latter-day Saints Project.
Join us. I would love to have you.
Yep.
Grow it. Actually, get in on the ground. It's been around for a while, but really we're just starting to grow it. So even if you're joining now, you kind of get in on, the early stages of it growing. So
exciting.
Yep, that is very exciting. All right, Greg, I'll turn it back over to you unless who's next?
I'll pass it on to Vicki next.
Okay. Yeah, I'll share my screen. Today, our guest or member of the week couldn't be with us, but I'll introduce you to Catherine Morse. Catherine Morse is our member of the week, and she's been a WikiTreeer for 7 years. Now she's a data doctor. She's the Morse Name Study Coordinator, and she contributes profiles for the U.S. Black Heritage Project. And she got interested in her family history like forever. And I have to say, her parents were born, her father was born in 1903. So imagine all that stories, and all the story that she has in her family. Their parents, her father's parents were born during the U.S. Civil War, and her paternal grandparents understood of right and wrong, and that's where she got all her values and family stories. And she says she also has siblings. She had 2 older brothers who traveled the world with the U.S. Navy during World War II and the Korean conflict. And she was fascinated by their stories, and she had pictures sent from Spain or gifts for family purchased in Japan. So that inspired all her family history. And I can tell you about her prequel. She has a prequel, Joel Morse, and what happened? That she was in many, like many of us, she was in many platforms and genealogical sites, and she got all these suggestions about any Joel Morse, and she started to get all this information and research, and she found she's an expert in the Morses, especially in Joel Morses. And she found WikiTree and found the ideal place to put all that research about this different Joel. And she found a way to organize them and all that research that she had made. So that's when she fell in love for WikiTree. And well, she also is the coordinator of like I said, the Morse one name study, which is, you'll see, is next week's one name study. We'll see that after, social media section. And she is a direct descendant of I will say, Vladimir Sviatoslavich the Great, the founder of the capital of Ukraine, Kiev. So she found that she had all this ancestry, and she was fascinated with Ukraine. Well, she says she loves to contribute to WikiTree. This is her legacy, because she's the main source of family information when someone has a question. So she wants to leave her legacy here. So when she's not around to answer their questions, they could find all the information here. And she learned, researching her ancestors, she learned that they were involved in slavery. And it was disturbing for her, she says, but it was a good disturbance. And I like to read this. She says, I believe that people should know the truth and adjust to truths rather than believe in truths and adjust to those perceptions. So she creates profiles for the U.S. Black Heritage Project, and she hopes to send a message through history to these persons. I see you, a person who had hopes and dreams too. You, a person with gifts and talent. So I think that is, well, very, very generous. Yes, and very nice. And I'd like to highlight something that I found on her profile. And she says, I am thrilled when someone adds a connection to me. Thank you to those who have done so. I'm giving all this thanks in her behalf. So after making contributions to WikiTree, I am more convinced that we're all connected. So that was Catherine Morse.
Nice.
Thank you, Catherine, if you're watching us. Thank you for all that you do for Tree. And congrats for being member of the week. I'm sorry we didn't get to see you. So today I don't have profile makeovers. I'm saving them for next week. I know in the chat is Angie Osoria, which I'm sure she was hoping to see something, because she participated last month and she came back. So it's great to have her. And if they are ready, I will show you next week the makeovers done by Lin Yang, by Irene Samek, which is also a new participant that came for the first time to our challenge last month. And also we'll have Melissa Jamison doing a makeover, Tia Balzer. Great to have you, Tia. And Suhit, remember a member of last week?
Yeah.
Great.
She was quite a player. She loved challenges, and I invited her to participate. So she joined. She joined, and she already completed her makeover. So I will show that next week, surely. And also Angie Osoria, who joined again. And when you mentioned her, Craig,
Yes.
I said Osoria, really like in Spanish, because we have a surname that is Osorio, which probably are related.
Right.
I'm sure she knows about that. So,
Mhm.
well, since I'm not showing some makeovers because I'm saving them, I will tell you what has happened these last 2 weeks on the 52 Ancestors post. I really like this challenge. And I want to start from water, which is week 41. And I will start from the bottom because this is kind of tragic. So I want to end up with a happy note. so I'm sorry, but there's always tragedy around water. So Kay Smith says, I have learned of at least few cousins distant that are associated with tragedy and water. One of them lost 2 young children to curiosity when they discovered the well that was recently dug on their homestead. Oof. Another cousin lost his wife when the wagon they were traveling hit a rock in the trail and caused their wagon to slide off the road and drop into a shallow creek. I won't share more details because it's really tragic. And last genealogical discovery, 2 of my cousins, Kay says, owned a sawmill back in the day of steam-powered engines. And the boiler ran out of water, and several men were around this boiler, added water, and it caused an explosion. So the explosion was heard for miles around, killing several men, including my cousins and 3 of their children. Wow. A lot of tragedy related to water in that family. Well, on a happier note, Oliver Stigen says, water reminds me of the village of Wittenbaden. Did I say that right? Yeah. Greg, you know, more German than me. Because that is German for white water in northern Germany. And he says, thanks to the My Connections button at the Wittenbaden category page, I can see immediately that 4 of my ancestors have a live event in that village. That is another relationship to water. And that inspires me for maybe next month's profile makeover. I will use water. It's a good idea. And Alice Thompson, I'm glad I see you again, Alice, long time. She says she had many important connections with water in her family. Her ancestors came by water from other countries. She has worked on the water as fishermen, and ancestors of her have worked on the water as fishermen, and many still do, she says. They have served in the Navy and Marines through the wars that were transported on ships, of course, and likely have some that have been on the oil rigs in the seas and oceans. And she has done, she says, a great deal of fishing through the years myself. And she has taken 1 cruise to Mexico. Wow. Great. Thank you, Alice, for sharing. Janet Davidson, she says she has a different perspective on this question, certainly, because several of her ancestors were affected by water after they were buried. She says the Tennessee Valley Authority moved numerous cemeteries when they built a dam because the newly created lakes would leave them underwater or inaccessible on Small Island. She doesn't say when this was, so I'm not sure if she was directly affected, because she says this affected, of course, not only the dead, but also the living, because they had to decide and claim the remains.
No, she wasn't. She probably was not affected. This is a while ago. This is it's now coming back again as another big issue in Appalachia. But if they could not find ancestors to remove some people from the cemeteries, then they had to leave them, and they were flooded. Same thing. We've got something like 30 minutes south of me in Georgia that the whole towns and cities were flooded by this. They're supposed to be compensated, but you know, when you're very poor and you cannot read or write sometimes, then you get taken advantage of, and that's what she means also by the living. So they were removed from their land, and were compensated. Most were not. And how do you compensate a family farm?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, oh, well, it's I'm lucky that you are here, Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
You knew about this story. And Alexis Nelson shares, as usual, this wonderful image of the New Orleans Federal Fleet. She says her second great-grandfather, Alexander McCullough, lived on the family farm. And when he was 18, he went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. While in Baton Rouge, he got a position as a shipwright, which is, I read, it's like a carpenter for ships. I didn't know that. And then he moved to New Orleans. And he held this job for 19 years. And this is she says it's a photo, but it's a drawing. So it's a photo of a drawing of the New Orleans Federal Fleet in 1862. So she says this is likely the type of ships that he was building. Very nice.
Very cool.
And yes. And lastly, week 42 theme is fire, and I selected only 2 things about this. Also, Alexis Nelson shares this wonderful photograph. It's her grandmother's brother-in-law, Jasper Jack, who worked as an oil well driller. And well, fire started on one of the fields, and he passed away because he was tragically burned in Oklahoma. This was in 1915, and she shares this newspaper article where the newspaper informs of this accident. And to finish, I want to take this last note from Tina Hall. I think Tina is in the chat. Am I right? Not sure. But I really love this comment. Who's on fire? She says. Me. Why? And we should all celebrate this. She says, it seems a little odd that this week I would choose myself. She chose herself as a profile because she's on fire to finish the 52 Ancestry in 52 weeks. Yay, great work, Tina. She says, I've been trying to get through an entire year and I might just make it this year. So she had to recycle some of them, she says, because they fit in different weeks. But she says, I, Tina King Hall, joined WikiTree on October 5th, 2018. So she is celebrating her 7th anniversary as a WikiTreeer. So awesome. That's a second, second celebration that we should do. And she says, time sure flies. I was able to complete 26 weeks in 2017 of this challenge. And I'm shooting, she says, for 50 to complete it this year. I want the new batch, she says. Anyway, it would be nice to finally complete an entire year. So yes, I am on fire, she says. You're on fire, Tina. Yeah, and congratulations. I really like the twist that you gave it. Nice. So congrats. We celebrate with you. And that's it.
I don't know about you guys, but I would love to go see Alexis Nelson's photo newspaper
albums
collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and their family albums. Sure.
It's got to be a whole room of just.
That's right.
Portraits and hanging on the walls.
Photos and newspaper. It's amazing.
And carefully indexed and everything.
They're all organized, indexed.
She knows immediately.
She knows exactly where to pick one from,
She's one of the first people that answers. I'm just amazed all the time.
Wow.
We should invite her someday.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah, she always gives us so much material to share. And we're always amazed by her photos.
Yeah. So I have one question about the 52 ancestors, Vicki. So you profiled the water and the fire. So the week before, was it earth? And is next week's air?
Wind?
That's a good question. Yeah, I didn't notice. I will take that.
Oh,
but
it's earth, wind, and fire. Yes.
Wind and fire. Yeah.
You knew what I was going for, but it's not air. It's wind.
But it inspired me.
We understood.
for next month, I will use it for the profile makeover. I will use the 4 elements.
The 4 elements.
Oh,
Okay, great.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
good.
I will look for that and I'll give you an answer soon.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
Sandy, do you want to talk about the questions of the week?
Let's do that. Let me bring up my screen. I should have done that in advance. My apologies.
Well,
Let's see.
while you're doing that, I started a few comments that were in the chat that I thought was interesting.
I'm
one of
glad
them
you
is-
picked one of them because it's exactly where I am right now.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm glad that you picked one of them.
Oh, okay. I'm wondering which one it is that. So, is it Kathy's the one that you're interested
That
in?
would
Or
be
no?
it because I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm sitting in a 105-year-old home, and I created a one-place study of this town of. I think the town currently has 140 people.
Oh.
We just increased it.
Wow.
140, but renovate is a lot of you have probably heard me complain. Renovations. So I love that she is finding out who the owners were.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage you to create a one-place study of the house because you can do that as well.
Nice.
Of
Yeah.
just the house and document it that way and go through the generations. And I will say that I swear I probably have told you guys this before, but the place the owner that created this house, his sister-in-law is Mag's 7th great-grandmother.
Oh,
Wow.
So
Wow,
Yeah, I
that's
remember
pretty
that.
cool.
yeah, and then when we were doing renovations, and Kathy encouraged if your son's doing any renovations as well. When we're doing renovations, we had to take down a lot of the walls, the dry walls, and rebuild it. I mean, the roof was coming down and everything. But what I did, I think I showed anyone, but I'm not sure. I got to put it up on WikiTree's Facebook. I wrote a whole history of the house where the deeds and went through all the information. So if somebody else ever takes down these walls, they will see the history as well. And I put the WikiTree ID profile there as well, so they can go to WikiTree with those profile IDs.
So you put them in. You put that history in the walls.
I put it like when they took down the walls, and they had to put up new framing and things like that behind the walls before they put the drywall back up. So I put the history of the deeds. I wrote out the history of the deeds. And
my goodness!
Put the WikiTree ID next to the people as
That's
well,
awesome.
so they could see it. And then and then left little fun tidbits like there were 4 Yorkies that lived here and enjoyed life, that are here, like that. Little personal things on us. And if I found any personal things like the original owner. I mean, you should see the wood. The wood siding is 105-year-old wood siding. It's amazing. But he worked at the local apple barn that's no longer here. So that's why a one-place study is so important, because you document the past and that's no longer here. But hopefully, if somebody ever has to take down the walls, and they might not like the paneling and stuff we put up, then they'll see the history. But I'll put it up on WikiTree's Facebook. I keep meaning to do it.
Cool.
I keep forgetting to do it. So, yeah, that's really, really cool. So I encourage your son or you to do one-place study of just the house.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really cool. Mm-hmm. And your other comment that you started was really awesome as well.
Well, I'm going to save the LDS related one to the profiles of the week, because that's connected directly to one of them. But Melanie had made a comment when we were talking about water.
Yeah.
That there are places where there are kids who were born and they grew up and may have never seen rain. And then there was a further comment until they went to secondary school, presumably to a different location. I'm thinking I know that there's a desert in Australia. There's a fair chunk of it that's desert, but that is wild that a place never seen rain.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine that either.
Yeah, there's something unusual also that happens in Chile, and it just happened. We have the most dry desert in the world.
Oh.
And sometimes we have a rainy season, and just with the moist of the air, the desert flowers that blooms, right? And
Just
it's
from the moisture, not from actual precipitation.
but
Yeah.
it's just so little drops of water that fall in the desert, and the desert blooms, and it happened this year, and it's beautiful. Imagine, it's the driest desert in the world.
Wow.
Yes,
That's
it's a beautiful thing to see.
Wow.
Yeah.
But not if you're thirsty.
Yeah. Or love the garden, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so the question of the week is: do you have any religious leaders in your family tree? And I did not answer this. I should have. So my biological father was a Baptist minister, and he preached into his 90s. He was the type of minister when you showed up at church and you saw him, you would turn around and leave because his preaching would last 3 hours.
Wow.
You just knew. Not for me. Not for me. And then and his son, my half brother, one of them is a utilitarian minister, and another one is a Mormon bishop, and in West Virginia. And I will tell you that since this is talking kind of about this theme this week, that when the Mormon Church came into West Virginia, they were not welcomed, and they had Denise would probably recognize this term, a sundown town.
Yes.
And so not only were blacks supposed to leave before sundown, but the Mormons were supposed to leave before sundown as well. So it's just now become, well, not just now, it's been many years, but when he started going to the church, they still were told you should leave before sundown. So it's kind of interesting to see. I've got, 1 degree away, I've got 3 people with 3 different religions. It's kind of
that's wild.
But we have really so many, and I just want to tell you, and I know Betsy probably struggles with this too. So many great answers, and I'm going to highlight a few. I thought that this one was really interesting that Gary said, because it's his third great grandfather was a Methodist minister, and his autobiography is a free space link to his page, and I think I have it up. Let me see. Yep. And this is a fabulous, if you guys watch bingo, I did free space bingo. This is a fabulous way to do a free space page. If you have any information that just overwhelms a profile, do a free space page and add the link to it. But this is really great how he goes into details about his relative, his ancestor. And I just highly encourage everybody to think about autobiographies. Even if you are writing a biography for somebody, it wouldn't be an autobiography at that point. If it's really detailed and long, sometimes it can get lost in profiles. So definitely think about a free space page. And I just thought that was a brilliant idea. I hadn't thought about that before. So that was really great. I like how a lot of people are talking about their great granduncles and things like that. And again, I'm going to bring up bingo yet again. If you watched me in bingo, one of my favorite phrases during bingo was the power of WikiTree. So here we have Gary says that his third great uncle was, and guess the power of WikiTree. It's A1's third great grandfather.
No way! That's very cool.
He didn't answer that. Maybe he was sad that we were related, but
I don't think so.
I thought it was really cool.
I'd be excited.
I mean, this is kind of how random things pop up, I think, in these questions or on GDP and then in projects that are really cool. And I encourage everybody, if you recognize something like this, then reach out, because you never know. You might have a brick wall or need some sources or photos, out there that somebody else has that maybe don't. And then let me go on. I thought this was fascinating for a completely different reason. Oliver with the Germany Project says he has a couple direct ancestors that were Lutheran pastors, and we know that the Lutheran was really religion was really strong in Germany. He went way back. I mean, way back. So a lot of us, when we're thinking, do you have any religious leaders in your family tree? You're thinking grandparents, uncles, brothers, sisters, things like that. But he went to his 12th great grandfather, and then it inspired him to create this one place study because he had their religious leaders. So I thought that was a totally, I didn't expect a totally different offshoot.
Wow.
And it's because he had so many religious leaders with that. So I was like, that was kind of an interesting idea to do.
Neat.
And then I think Stanley, that's right. Stanley has a really great one place study on a town where the circus was created. But he went way, way, way back, 1287, and Jeffrey DeBuck. Okay, now I'm going to skip through a little bit. There's so many good ones. He also put a picture up of his other ancestor that moved to Canada and became a resident of Canada. And I'm sorry if I'm passing through some of yours. They were all really, really good. I encourage everybody to come up to this question of the week. Just take a quick look at it and read, because it's just fascinating, some of the stories that people come up with. Like Tia says, preaching was characterized by a zeal and earnestness, which convinced all who heard him of his devotion. That's kind of defines preachers to me, I think, in a lot of ways. And I like that Rhonda, who says there's so many of them. So she gave us a list: the 8th great grandfather, 7th great grandfather, and what this was important to me to mention, because as you're looking through your ancestors and adding, and whether it's Connect-a-thon, it's CC7, or it's connection checkers or anything like that, as you're verifying things, these are also categories you could add to the profiles. And then you also learn about them. I mean, I don't know if I would have known a first cousin 7 times removed was ordained as a deacon in 1772, unless I actually took time with that profile in those sources. So that was kind of interesting to point out. And I love that Gary also put the full little bit of information here. So he's got a notable as an ancestor, because he's listing the Wikipedia and the occupation. And let me scroll down. Lynn's was very interesting to me, because this isn't in Appalachia, but this is very Appalachian. The minister went around countryside on horseback giving sermons for people too far from a regular church. And that was the thing. In Appalachia, we get libraries on horseback. We had nurses and midwives on horseback, and we had preachers on horseback.
Yep.
You got to reach the people, right? You just got to reach them. And the interesting thing too is, I'm passing through this, I'm seeing that a lot of you have Methodists. There seems to be a predominant faith through this, and I was a little surprised at that. I kind of assumed that there'd be a lot of LDS because the research alone was, started with that. So I was a little bit surprised by that. Okay. And then I like that for those of you that shared your direct ancestors as well. So my father was an Anglican minister who served in Vancouver, Jamaica, Montreal, Quebec. And it looks like Ontario. Okay, let me go over to the second page. And there was one that I really want. Okay. In my largest database, I have 54 people with the title of Reverend.
Wow.
And that could be a search that you could do on WikiTree Plus. This is just amazing, Nelda, that you did that. And Nelda is a fellow Georgian, lives not far from me as well. So I just thought, I got to do that. I got to now make sure that I put Reverend or some type of word, pastor, minister,
in that title.
Yeah, and then I could do a search on it and think about everything else, like the military titles and things like that. That was a brilliant idea. I didn't think about it. And let me go down. The second great grandfather. Give me a second. I know I had it. I thought this was interesting. There are lots in my tree that I'm connected to. I might not be related to, but I'm connected to. And these would be some pretty popular ones as we go through the list that really old, going back old, that William gave. Okay, and then I want to come down to, let's see, my great-grandfather became a Christian minister after he returned from the Civil War and founded the Christian church in my hometown. That was from Rita. And I'll tell you, after the U.S. Civil War, that was very common. They had saw a lot, and they realized that change needed to happen. And religion became very, very popular in certain areas of the United States, especially after that U.S. Civil War. But he died during a sermon he was preaching.
Oh,
Wow.
So I'm not sure what to think about that. You know, I think
it was a sign from God. He should have cut it off 5 minutes earlier.
I'm just sitting here and I'm like, well, you died doing what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you've sat through sermons, homilies like that, but a friend of mine used to say, well, "Okay, that's like they're circling the airport, you know, or they're coming in for land. Nope, they're circling it again.
They're circling it. You
know,
can't leave.
They have at least sometimes they have 3 different endings. You know, they could have stopped any time there.
And their voice kind of dips like they're going to end it.
Yeah.
No. So that was, and you just can't leave. And then I really like that Kirk shared that beginning with my own father was a Presbyterian minister. So I thought that was really special. And then a Black Watch in Nova Scotia, right? Aldershot is Nova Scotia, Greg? I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then in various communities. And his father was a U.S. born citizen and Presbyterian minister who initially a China missionary. And that, you know, when you talk about religious leaders, I think a lot of times missionaries would fall into that. And it goes on. And then I think I got one more as I come down. This was interesting, founded and confirmed connections to Brigham Young. So even if you don't have a parent, a grandparent, or something like that, if you have confirmed connections to the featured connections this week, come on over to the connection checkers and let us know. Let us know how it's going. And I have a lot of people are going way back. And I also like that one of them submitted to DAR. So you have some Ancestry database to go back to. And first person is my dad. This is from Chris Wine, who became and these are different titles that they use in different churches, was a very reverend father. So I think I need to look at my profiles and titles and start reworking and adding the titles. As Denise said, put them in that title field. So, you know, that was pretty cool. Thanks to everybody for answering this. There's a lot of great ones. I hope a lot of you will go and look at the questions. There's 3 pages. They're really easy. A lot of them are really fascinating to read, and click on the profiles and see if you're connected or related to them as well. And then I know, Denise, that you have a wonderful connection that you know I adore for the connection to October. So I'm going to leave yours to last so we can talk breakfast. But do you have an ancestor connection to October? And a few of you gave us some really cool things, but right off the bat, this one broke my heart and is so heartwarming at the same time. So this one was really, really tough. So Alexa, so for October, I'd like to celebrate my father, Master Sergeant Claire Alexander, who's chick, lovely. So he was born in October. This is a photo I remember so well, as it stayed in his mother's living room. He was her only child, and he was killed in World War II, which was 4.5 months before I was born. And I love this photo of him. It just says a lot. But I think that I really need to show you guys his profile. She's done such a wonderful job with his profile where you really get to know him. Wonderful categories. Thanks for putting those on. The photos, as well as when he was a young child. The stickers that are important I think these are eye candy in a way. They tell you who the person is. Right off the bat, it kind of draws you in. But she goes into full details, and I love this because this is a thing in the U.S. The Oklahoma City phone book shows he was a salesman, and these are things that you can add to profiles as you go through. And this broke my heart, but it's kind of heartwarming too. This is their marriage, and then so he didn't make it back. And I'm just going to mention one other thing as we go through, that she did one of my favorite things. Vicki will recognize this one. Memory. So she put a little memory in as well. And I just really wanted to point that out. That's such a fantastic job. And doing profiles like this as someone so close to you is not always easy. But I really appreciate when people do this, because after we're long gone, somebody's going to come back and want to know what happened and what his life was beforehand. And it's just really special that people do that. Okay. And then moving on, my great grandfather, Henry James Dobson, was born in October. And if anybody knows Steve does the most fantastic one-place studies. I wish I could do one-place studies like him, but they're fantastic. And I'm going to open up the photo. Isn't that awesome?
Oh,
That's great.
If there's a pet photo, I'm going to show it. So. But I think this connects us, right? If you're a pet lover or a dog lover, then you're instantly attracted to it, and you're looking at it like, okay, this was Steve's ancestor. I'm instantly involved in this profile. So this was his great grandfather, and I loved it where it said he raised a family whose future generations widened their horizons and carried the family story forward through time and across new places. Those are tidbits that I would never know about this man looking at this picture. I would never know, but this is a personal memory of Steve. So it's, I think
Finn just raised his head and looked around. He must have heard. You're talking about a dog?
I know. They're comfortably asleep in my chair, and they did that. Molly and them are friends. They will bark at each other a lot. Nice. Okay, so hold on, Denise, because I'm going to wait till the end for this. And then Star shared her great grandfather, who was born in Greece in October, immigrated to the U.S. and served as a cook in the U.S. Army, and got his citizenship, owned a restaurant, and then become head chef at a hotel. And since we're talking about religion this week, in this photo, he's catering a luncheon at his church.
Oh, wow.
And he's got the hat and the jacket and everything. So let me go back. So for those of you that know me, that know anything, I'm going to say the word biscuit. And Denise said the word biscuit at least 3 or 4 times. So
there we go.
Would you like to tell us about your grandmother?
Well, this is my dad's mother, Luvinia. I called her Grammy. I was very close to her. She passed away when I was 8 years old, but before then, we actually got to live with her for about a year. She was born in Caddo Parish, Louisiana. Spent a lot of time there. Once she got married to my grandfather, whom I never met, they actually moved to Arkansas, which is where my father was born, in Little Rock, Arkansas, right outside there. But one of my fondest memories of my grandmother, and I think someone asked me not too long ago, do I cook? Do I bake? No, I do not. No, I do not. And I'm sure my grandmom would probably be shaking her head right now. But my grandfather, the man I called Gramps, he wasn't my grandfather, but he was my grandmother's second husband. Gramps and I would just sit there when grandma was in the kitchen baking. I could always tell when she was getting ready to bake biscuits, and you could just smell it. It would just permeate throughout the entire apartment. And we'd sit there in his rocking chair because we had a bird's eye view of that kitchen table from the rocking chair. And once she took those biscuits out of the oven, we'd make a dash for that kitchen table. and we'd sit there and lather on the honey and the butter and just have a good time. We're just sitting there eating biscuits.
And I will tell you, that's truly what you do.
Yes.
You sit there, and the meal, that homemade love that's put into that. I know everybody, some people are like, okay, enough with the biscuits, but I'm telling you, for us, it is the love that is put into that meal, and then the camaraderie and the fellowship while eating. It just is a memory that's ingrained in us, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Some people have holidays that they really, connect to and things like that. And for a lot of us, it's the cooking from our grandparents, from our grandmothers.
Yeah. It didn't have to be a holiday, but it always was when she did her biscuits. And it was almost a weekly thing for my grandmother. She loved to cook. That dress that she's wearing there, she made that. So she sewed. Yeah, she cooked, she sewed. I didn't pick up any of that.
I didn't pick up any sewing. I can cook, but no sewing. I don't have the patience for it. To me, sewing is math.
That's right.
Math is good.
I know I can't do it. So, I love it that you were here to share the story in your own voice. I know that your own voice is in text on G2G, but I think it's important and special to do it in your own actual voice here. But to also, there's some things that we will find throughout WikiTree and throughout these LiveCasts that are a shared thing. So you might not have biscuits where you're at, but you have that memory of your grandmother making something and that you really enjoyed, and the fellowship with your family that you also really enjoyed. So thanks for sharing. I've got one more thing that I've been asked to share by Awen. Let me find it real quick. And I will say, I talked about bingo a couple of times this week. There will be one bingo during WikiTree Week.
Okay.
So if you guys a lot of you have been asking me, and that's the nice way of saying it, about bingo. We'll be back. It will be back. Okay. So brand new this year, and Awen and I are hosting this. It's share a treer toast.
Thank a treer toast.
I think she invited me because of my love of moonshine, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but so what you need to do is think of a WikiTree you'd like to thank. And I can tell you there are dozens, probably hundreds I'd like to thank. So I really need to thank a lot. I will say Greg and I were talking before the show that Ian with WBE&B had helped us this week with something. And, and when we talk about Rob with Sourcer, can you imagine doing a connect-a-thon or a source-a-thon without Rob Sourcer? I can't. Can you imagine doing a search, for your family and seeing your ancestors without that fabulous ancestor connection that you have? So that would be Ian as well. But anyway, so write a short toast in the comments below, just a few sentences, perfect, just to let us know who they are and why you thought you wanted to thank them, why they are important to you to thank. And then we're going to read the toast online. And we have one, I think, so far. But the reason why this is kind of important to us, this isn't something like, oh, let me just go up and share, because somebody helped me fix a typo. If that's important to you, then that's what you should do. There are so many of us that are volunteers on WikiTree, so many. And all of us will reach out. If you reach out to any of us, especially that you see here on the screen, if you reach out to any of us and say, hey, I need help, like Vicki, I don't know how to find a source in Chile. And Denise, I really need help with USBH profile. I'm confused on it. And Greg, will you please come to our Appalachian meeting and describe the DNA confirmation app, which he's done. During his ice storm. So these are things that if you reach out to any of us, we will gladly help and everything. We don't expect thank yous. We just don't. We love genealogy, we love WikiTree, and we want to help. But if there are people that have really done something that you feel need a thank you, would like a thank you, it would be special to thank them, then please consider leaving them a toast. It means the world to any human to be thanked. It really does. Because sometimes we're out there helping and doing things, and we don't know if it's landing. And use one of Greg's recent things. We don't know. We don't know if it's like, okay, did we really help? Was that what you asked for? Did I give you the information you needed? So if you have something that you can or thank somebody for that you really feel that they need recognized, feel free and thank them for it. And that was this brand new. Caitlin just came up with it, and she did mention the WikiTree week that she was doing, and I can tell you she's pretty much planned it all herself, and it's amazing. Which is planned. Okay.
I just shared the link so you can read everything, the activities that we have every day.
The keynote speakers, we've got somebody signed up for every day of the week.
Yeah. And there's a GGG posters for that as well.
Yeah.
And it's really great. There's a cubicle party with a theme every day. So you can just come in the Zoom. You don't have to stay the whole time. You can stay a little bit, come and go as you want. There'll be a question on GGG every week. There's themes. There's a DNA day. Kathy was talking about her house. With this house, I inherited so many antiques that I'm trying to find the provenance for. There's going to be an heirloom hour that if you have something really, really unique and different and special to share, and trace the ancestry of that item or a home, your childhood home, trace the ancestry there. The speakers are awesome. And like the link says, go ahead and register.
Yeah. We've got member Q&A activity every day of the week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
all fun stuff. Informative.
Bunch of
fun,
stuff.
Yeah. It's great stuff. Yeah. Excellent. When you were doing the question of the week, Sandy, my answer would be I don't have any direct relatives who are Catholic priests that I know of. Which would have been very discouraged at the time. But there's a lot on both my adoptive and biological side. There's many cousins, great aunts, uncles, and so on, who were nuns or priests.
So when you thought about if you see the question, I kind of just saw the question, but it didn't seem to register with me until Betsy was talking. Was that the same for you? Because it's just, they're there.
Yeah.
But you don't think of them maybe as a religious leader. Was that kind of what you were thinking?
Well, I mean, I was thinking of, so there's one who was a first cousin of my mom, Father Donnie, who was around a lot. And he would have been the type that would have been rambling on for, trying to find the landing. So sometimes if you were at a gathering and he was around, you didn't want to get stuck in a corner with him.
You went, oh, excuse me, I gotta go.
That's right. Yeah.
Do something.
I do want to share. There was, on my French Canadian side, my biological side, there were a number of nuns and priests in the extended family there. And this is a site that's just in the last 3 or 4 years old or something like that. It's mostly trying to add genealogical records for clergy because they don't have children, right? Or most certainly not in the Catholic. The Catholic ones don't, at least not officially.
Right.
So a lot of times their stories sort of stop with them because they don't have children to carry on and to remember them and whatnot. Especially nuns who often had to change their whole name. They became Sister Margaret Rose, even though they might have been born as Victoria Ann or something like that, right? They changed their names when they became a full-fledged nun and stuff. So sometimes people lose those connections. So this is a site that if you have, especially French Canadian clergy, you might want to check out. So I'll just put the link to that to help people out with that.
That's cool. I know, that's fantastic. I hadn't even thought about somebody just doing that specific genealogy because you're right. The line
Yeah.
ends.
Because the line ends, you know, and
Yeah.
depending on when they joined, you know, either became a priest or they joined a convent or whatever, you know, the connection to their living relatives, you know, after a generation or two, they could be totally lost, right?
Mhm.
So many of these people are only rediscovered by genealogists like ourselves trying to build out our family tree and realizing, wait a second, where did this person go? And so this is a really neat site, and I love that the name is so clever, clergenealogy. So it's like a combination of clergy and
Mhm.
genealogy. You know,
Mhm.
mashed
It is
together.
clever.
I
And
thought
the icons, the little emojis are.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mm.
And I think there is a way to turn it into English if you can't read the French. Actually, I guess any website you could just right click on it and convert it, translate to English.
Mhm.
And that works pretty well anyways. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. So I just thought I would share that off. And the other connection now, this is, so most of my connections to religious leaders are through the Catholic faith, because both my biological and adoptive family were primarily Catholic, though my biological father's family, there were Protestants there. And when I went to investigate the Douglases, I went as far back as I could. Now I can go a little bit further back thanks to the work that Patty Waldron did on my tree during the rock event earlier this year. But then I went forward to find out all the uncles, cousins, and whatnot as far as I could go. And there's one branch which was really wild because they came from Ontario, and it's Esther Louise Douglas. So she would have been she's a cousin 3 times removed, first cousin 3 times removed, and she married a man named George Jacob Franz Krieger, or Georg Jacob Franz Krieger, who was born in Germany and came over to the States, and they got married in New York, and then they became missionaries and moved to Argentina.
Oh.
And they had all their kids in Argentina, in Buenos Aires.
Mhm.
So and so I've got some records for them, but I don't have birth records for all of the kids. And I'm really curious on, you know, how I could, you know, find out what happened to, like, one of the kids did end up coming back to the States, but many of them I have sort of lost track of. So I don't know if you've done any work in Argentinian records, Vicki, or if you have sources that I can search and find out more about these people. Because
yeah, it's not easy to find records online because probably you have to go personally and ask for them. What I do know, there's a website that collects immigration records, but you want to know what happened after. So
yeah,
I'm not sure.
okay,
Yeah, but I'll have a look.
okay. Anyways,
Yeah, I'll write that down.
That's the most interesting thing, you know, because, you know, a lot of my family is boring, you know, farmers, French, English, you know, Irish stuff, and then Argentina, what?
Yeah,
That's very cool.
so that is Douglas. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
Douglas.
Okay.
2 S's, 3805. Yeah, I can give you the
Okay,
link.
got it.
But this is
Yeah.
kind of the addiction for us that do genealogy.
That's right.
You know, we go and we still, even though they may be boring, we still keep going until we find
and then you find this nugget of,
Yeah.
And the other cool thing is, I actually I was contacted by someone who is a descendant of Esther Louise and Georg.
DNA tested?
What's that?
DNA tested?
He is a Krieger, and he is, so I don't know which son, Frank or Paul, he's descended from, but he's doing his line, and he found this on WikiTree. Like, he found what I had done in terms of these profiles on WikiTree.
Cousin bait.
So it worked. And
Yeah, it
that's
worked.
very exciting.
Wow.
So then that led me to adding a few more things, and I found some newspaper snippets, because even though they did missionary work in Argentina, they came back to the States. They were living in the States, or they got married in the States, and so their home was there because he had immigrated from Germany to the States, not to Canada. So she'd come back and visit from time to time, and then talk about her missionary work, and that, of course, got in the not the gossip pages, the social pages, the society pages, So I was able to add some of that detail, fleshing out sort of thing. So that's kind of cool, I thought.
That's very cool.
Anyways, but I digress because we're supposed to be talking about and it's 11:10 already. Oh, wow. Of course, the theme this week for Connection Checkers is the LDS connections. And we have a number of them to go through. So we're going to start with, and if any of you folks know more details about LDS or about any of these profiles, please jump in. Because as I just mentioned, I'm Catholic myself, and most of my church bringing and my knowledge is, of course, of Catholic and Christian faiths and stuff. So the specifics about LDS and the religion, I've read up on and I know a bit about, but not as much as the rest. So I'm going to go through the profiles, talk about the people and their accomplishments and whatnot. But first of all, I thought here is the grid that you get, the connections of the profiles of the week to each other, and you can see some of them are very closely related. So Brigham Young and Joseph Smith are only 2 apart, because Joseph Smith, his wife is the sister of Brigham Young, so he married Brigham. Yeah, he married Brigham Young's sister. And then the next one over was, and then there's another one, and Brigham Young's son-in-law is Charles Card, who's another profile. And so they're connected that way. So you see a lot of the early ones are connected, through marriage to each other a lot. So,
and I think this really speaks to pioneer, not to bring in Westboro, but it really speaks to when you're a pioneer going to a new location that's not populated.
Yes,
you intermingle in your community, and another thing we've talked about is pedigree collapse, and there's only so many men and women at first when you go over to the West.
That's right.
And they marry within their families. I'm thinking Italy right now, Greg. I'm thinking
yes, that's right. Oh, that's for sure. That's right. Okay, so let us jump up to the top. So Russell Marion Nelson, born 9th of September 1924, passed away 27th of September 2025, 18 days after his 101st birthday.
Wow.
Isn't that
very
amazing?
Recent.
Yeah, very recent. And I'd love to see, someone a ripe old 101. Born and died in Salt Lake City, Utah. If his name wasn't familiar to you, he was the president of the Church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints up until his death. So he was president for 7 years. But prior to that, he also held he had other positions of leadership in the church. But what surprised me, which I did not realize, is that the church leaders in the LDS, or at least some of them, were not like career ministers, career church people. Like a Catholic priest, for example. You become a priest, and that is your profession. That is your sole thing. They obviously had other lives and other specialties, and this guy was brilliant. He was a world-renowned heart surgeon.
Wow.
Like, what?
Yeah.
He served for nearly 34 years in the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. So he obviously did church work and was, part of the leadership of the church through long, but world-renowned heart surgeon. He Quorum of the 12 Apostles, before he became the church president. He studied at the University of Utah. He had 10 children, nine daughters and 1 son. They shared a deep love of music. Gotta love that. Met and performed together in university production. He was exceptionally bright. He graduated from high school at 16, and then went on to get his bachelor in medical degrees from the University of Utah. finishing first in his class. This guy was obviously a brilliant man.
Mm-hmm.
He served in the U.S. Army Medical Corps during the Korean War, joined the University of Utah School of Medicine. He built his own heart-lung machine and performed the first open heart surgery in the Western United States.
Wow.
Pioneered several groundbreaking cardiac procedures, including early valve repairs and bypass surgeries. Oh, wait a second. I've got a painter here, and I have to go and answer a question. So talk amongst yourselves. Sorry. Be right back.
Oh.
You want me to jump in? You okay? Is that a yes?
Well,
I
just
think he
a
already
minute.
took off. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's wait for him. You know what I realized? I have a really close connection, like third cousin. I don't know how many times removed, with the saint of the Catholic Church. I don't know if that counts as a leader. But she was a nun. But
Yeah, I think
that's the first saint of Chile is connected to me.
I think so.
That would be my closest.
What did she become a saint for?
Well, they have to. They must be accountable for miracles.
3, right? I think.
Yes, and she was the first one in Chile. We only have 2 saints.
That was going to be my next question. So that's
Yes, we have 2 saints, and she is Santa Teresa de los Andes. And she was I think it's pronounced Carmelites. I don't know. They're Carmelitas. And once we had one of our members of the week, I can't remember her name. She was a nun from the Carmelitas, and she knew this saint, Santa Teresa. And she's my third cousin, 3 times removed. So
3 the WikiTree of the week, or the saint?
No, the saint.
The saint. Wow.
Yes. So yes, it's not a church leader, but well, it's a main figure.
How about if I there you go. Oh, good. Okay, muted. Okay,
Hi there.
Greg. What color?
I'm back. Sorry.
There you are.
What color did you pick? That's what
Well,
we really
it's called Inukshuk, actually. But I don't know if you remember, but back in March, we had an ice storm here. And our basement flooded. So now, over 6 months later, we're finally getting that fixed.
Wow.
Because
now it's dry.
Company that
Completely
long
dry.
Because there were so many people, like almost everyone had their basement flooded, and so we're on the bottom of a very long list.
Wow.
Anyways, he's here. They're here today doing the painting, and I didn't want them to leave.
No, you don't.
They finally got here. Didn't want them to leave. So, anyways, sorry. And
That's okay. You're allowed.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Where did we get to, Sandy?
Oh no, we left it where you were. So I think you finished. Were you finished with Russell, and then moving on?
I think so. He's just he's just an amazing person. 7,000 operations. Like, wow, it's just incredible. So from the most recent president, we can jump back to the very first president of the church, prophet of the LDS Church, Joseph Smith. Born in 1805 in Windsor, Vermont, passed away in 1844 at the young age of 38, and that was tragic. So he was the one, of course, who was the founder, religious and political leader, and founded Mormonism and Latter-day Saint movement. He published the Book of Mormon at the age of 24, which is one of the bases for their religion. Though they do follow Jesus Christ, so they are Christian in that way, though some other denominations, well, anyways, there are some definite differences between other forms of Christianity and LDS, but they do believe in Jesus Christ and God, and so they are connected in that way. And they love music, and they've got a great choir. So, you know, I feel a certain affinity for that, among other things. But anyways, his movement continues worldwide, of course, today. And the largest branch of that is, of course, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So again, like many of these profiles are quite long and describe lots of stuff. So we can't go through all the details here. He gave his wife gave birth to 9 children, 5 of whom died before the age of 2. That's very sad, eh? He did marry other additional people, and so
30.
Yeah, a few others. So we don't have 30.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, but we don't have 30 spouses listed here. Now, I do have the WikiTree browser extension installed, and I'm guessing this is from the extension. It says now you can click on this to show more spouses. So if I click on that, then
keep scrolling.
There we go. And,
wow.
There were fewer. And the funny thing, Jamie always likes to use this guy in Brigham Young as 2 test cases for the apps. So if we go to the tree app, so it builds out his fan chart. That was pretty good, eh? Not a problem. Oh, one thing with the fan chart, I don't know if I think I've mentioned this before. When it first builds, sometimes it gets the spacing, especially around the center circle, a little askew. So if you just click on the fan chart, this little thing, it just redraws it and it spaces it nicer. You know.
Oh, good too.
So that's
I can't see where you clicked.
So there's 3 different versions of this fan chart, where either the semicircle or the more fan related with parts grouping.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't see your mouse.
Oh, you can't see the mouse? Oh, it's very tiny.
No, okay, I see.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Or you can do a full circle chart. Okay, but either way, clicking on any of those forces it to redraw. And anyways, but so the fan chart works fine. But you go to the super tree, you might be waiting a bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because the super tree goes up 2 generations to get the grandparents, and then down 2 generations to get the grandchildren.
Ooh.
And includes all the spouses. So we're thinking 30 spouses. Yeah. So we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Joseph here. Let's let that percolate away.
I think that Mormon life is what scared folks the most.
What's that?
That Mormon life is what scared folks the most. It made them so nervous because it wasn't a monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. And that was, in the early days, that was one of the things about the Mormon faith. In fact, their belief at the time was that the additional marriages actually brought them closer to God and salvation. So, though, what's interesting about his, and where is it here? There was somewhere here that there was, here it is. So he was married multiple times, right? And his first wife, Emma, was the one who gave birth to the 9 children. But as of 2011, at least, and there hasn't been an update about that, DNA testing has provided no evidence that he's actually fathered any other children by anyone other than Emma. And in other research that I did, some of these marriages were not necessarily sexual marriages. They did not necessarily include that. They were sacramental, I guess, or so that was news to me as well. So that's kind of interesting. Though that's not typical of multiple marriages. That was plural marriage is the word that they use on them. So, but anyway, the sad thing, and this is related to the other comment that I had starred. Joseph Smith and his brother were both killed by a mob in Carthage, Illinois, Again, as Denise has mentioned, there was a lot of anti-Mormon sentiment, a lot because of fear, misunderstanding, and as Sandy had said, I hadn't heard the term I think I might have heard the term sundown towns before, but never understood what it actually meant, which is it doesn't sound like a very welcoming place.
No,
I don't know if you put that on your billboard. Welcome to the Sun Bowl.
There'd actually be signs that said this is a sundown town or city. There'd actually be signs, and some of them would list all the groups that they were
sundowned.
Were recommending you leave before sundown. But it was no joke. It was hard, wasn't it, Denise? Wow. It's hardcore serious. You left.
That's right.
They hit you on the behind as you get it.
Yeah. And the green books made sure, like for those that were traveling, the green books made sure that you did not go near those towns. After sundown.
Wow.
So I wonder if this was the same type of, was his death with the mob? Was it over his religion?
The two brothers they were in jail and they were awaiting a trial, and then an armed mob stormed the jail. So it's not like they were trying to leave. They were in the jail, and then they were stormed. The jail was stormed by a mob, 200 men.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyways, so they passed away. But Paula Franklin had said that Joseph Standing, who was an LDS missionary, was also killed by a mob near where she lives, in fact. And she drives by his memorial every morning.
And what's interesting with this is that Paula lives in North Georgia, almost at the Tennessee border. So she doesn't live way over, out west.
Yeah, Illinois is.
Yeah. So she's literally on the line of Tennessee and Georgia and northwest Georgia. So the prejudice is everywhere.
Yeah.
And like you said, as Denise mentioned, the fear.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. It finished the first round, but look how stretched out it has to be. Now, let's see if we add another generation. Okay. And we add another generation there. Woo! Look how stretched out that has to be. And then if we add one layer of aunts and uncles, okay, that's not so bad. Okay. Look at that. Wow. You have to have you're going to need a pretty long hallway if you're going to go much further than this.
Yeah.
Did you see how many connections he has?
Let's see.
Bazillion. We need something called bazillion. 202,000.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, and just think how many profiles could still be added, probably.
Wow.
With all the children and grandchildren and so on.
Yeah, that's wild.
Because if they were also Mormon who had 9 wives or 12 wives and then 12 kids, and this could go on to infinity, Greg.
Well, it can't because Ann Fiordalisi needs me to stop by noon.
No, it's the move to 1.
Okay. So let me see if I can let's see if I can land this plane without having to circle the airport 3 times. Because they're all amazing profiles and they all deserve a little bit of time in the sun, but maybe not. So Elijah Abel, one of the earliest African-American members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he was the first African-American who was ordained an elder or a priest, and the first Black 70 or a missionary priest. Okay. And he was featured on U.S. Black Heritage and Latter-day Saints and the Century of Black Mormons. The church records apparently give slightly different names for his parents, and there's research notes for that. We love when they put research notes in. He was a number of these profiles had connections to Canada, so they either did missionary work. So he did some missionary work in Upper Canada, which is later now part of what is considered Ontario. He was falsely accused and threatened there, so they weren't necessarily always welcome. He was an undertaker and a coffin maker and a grave digger in Nauvoo, Illinois. So Nauvoo, Illinois was one of the places they moved to get away from persecution in other places. Let me think. Anyways, we'll come to some of those. But Nauvoo was a town that was actually bought by the church, and then people were able to live there in relative peace until they moved to Salt Lake area. He was assigned by Joseph Smith to lead the LDS Church in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, the sad thing is that at one point later on, though he became a priest, the LDS Church changed their mind, and they denied Black men priesthood and temple ordinances. So basically, access to sacraments, or what would be their, considered like sacraments, ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to find an equivalent sort of thing. So even though he was originally recognized for his worthiness, the church changed its mind in 1849. But that was eventually reversed later on. But it took a long time after his death before they reversed the reversal, if you know what I mean. So that's sad that that they succumbed to, I guess, the peer pressure, the political pressure at the time. And that would have been 1849. That would have been before your Civil War, before freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next, we have Ezra Taft Benson, distant cousin. And he was also a president of the Quorum of 12 and a prophet of the LDS Church, son of George Taft Benson and Sarah Sophia Dunkley. Prominent figure, born into the LDS community. He had many various leadership roles, shaping public religious thought, public policy. Passed away in 1994. A significant footprint in broader spheres. Then, there's another. This is neat. So Charles Ora Card. Now I thought, well, that's an interesting name. And one of my favorite authors, sci-fi authors, is Orson Scott Card. And I remember reading, how the jacket cover says, is their biography. I remember reading that he was from Utah, and I thought Salt Lake City. And I thought, I wonder, was he? I couldn't remember whether the jacket cover said that he was a member of the LDS, the Church of the Latter-day Saints. But I thought, I wonder if he's connected. And sure enough, he is. Orson Scott Card, the author, is the great-grandson of Charles Card.
Oh, man.
And Orson Scott Card, because he's a well-known author, has his own WikiTree profile. It's very bare because he's a living person, but he is there. So sure enough, this is the great-grandfather of one of the fantasy writers that I enjoy reading. Mm-hmm. And he was the founder of Cardstown in Alberta, the first Mormon settlement in Canada, and it's also been referred to as Canada's Brigham Young. He had 4 wives, moved to Canada when the U.S. authorities were prosecuting polygamists. So there was a point, and it actually came when Utah was transitioning from becoming a territory and they were on the road to statehood. One of the rules or prescriptions was Utah could not become a state if polygamy was still legal. They disallowed that. And so at that point, the church actually came up with, I think they called it a manifesto that said that polygamy was no longer accepted. And there was a branch of Mormonism that broke off and wanted to continue practicing polygamy, but the main branch no longer accepted that. But apparently Charles Ora Card thought, I kind of like it still, and moved to Canada. Or I guess we didn't have those rules yet. And formed a town in his last name, Cardston. So there he goes. But he enlisted in the military, served as a Minuteman in the Indian Wars. Then goes on, here's all the details of the census and whatnot. But interesting character. William H. Clayton, born in England, and then moved to Salt Lake City eventually. Eldest of 14 children. His father was a school teacher, and he was learned to play the violin and piano. So another musician, baptized into the LDS Church in 1837, became a missionary in England, and then helped grow the branch, and then led a group of converts from England to the United States, eventually made it to Nauvoo. That's there that I was talking about, where they eventually left Nauvoo and traveled to the winter quarters in Nebraska, joined Brigham Young's vanguard. He wrote a number of Mormon hymns. So again, from his musical background, and we know that the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, some great musicians from there. And I didn't. I'm going to have to look up and listen to these hymns and see how many, if I recognize any of the tunes, are ones that I recognize. But they're a musician in the group. Joseph Fielding, another one born in England, moved to Salt Lake City, died there at age 66. He was a member of the Square Chapel Independent Congregation, went on to preach for several denominations, including, so this is interesting, he was a member of lots of different churches before he switched over to LDS. Methodist, there's your Methodist again, Sandy. The Episcopalian, primitive Episcopalian, came to Canada first, and then they were in a religious study group called the Dissenters. That's interesting. And then after that, baptized into the LDS Church.
Those are three very different philosophy churches.
Are they? Yeah, like that is wild, eh? He was obviously searching for meaning.
Yes.
And was looking for, all meaning in all different ways, and eventually he found it. Because of his English background, he became a missionary in England and then came back again to Nauvoo. There's Russell. Okay, we've already talked about him. Chieko Okazaki, born Chieko Nishimura, was the first American writer, educator, and religious leader. She was the first minority to serve in the presidency of the LDS Church Auxiliary. So she was never the president of the whole church, but she was the president of an auxiliary organization of it. So, and the first one as a minority. She was born in Hawaii, 1926, and raised by Japanese American parents. Taught by her mother the principle of kigatsuku, which is doing what's right without being told. And after 15 years of attending church, she was baptized into the LDS Church. Studied at the University of Hawaii, where she met her husband, Edward Okazaki, who was also an Army veteran, married in Maui. She began her church service in 1961, first minority member of a general board, and later became a counselor, general presidency. Julina Smith was a prominent Latter-day Saint leader who served in the Relief Society General Presidency. So what's interesting about her, so she was the second wife of the original president, second wife of church president Joseph F. Smith. So not the original Joseph Smith, and descendant, and mother of the future president Joseph Fielding Smith. So she holds the unique distinction of being both the wife and the mother of two different presidents. So that's kind of cool. So she obviously had a fair bit of power or influence, and obviously a leader in her own right, not just through the marriages. Member of the general presidency of the Relief Society.
Can you imagine what social media would have been like for them back then?
Oh my goodness.
I bet you're cruel. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, really. John Taylor was the prophet of the LDS Church right after Brigham Young was the main prophet. His parents immigrated to Canada, again another Canadian connection, and he was a Methodist preacher. There's the Methodist again, but got married in the Episcopal Church in Toronto. That's another Methodist Episcopal connection. Learned about the Mormon Church from a missionary, and then got baptized in 1836. That was the same year that the other guy had got baptized. So there's a lot of lot of missionary work going on in Ontario at that point, apparently. Moved to Missouri, ordained an apostle, and so after the doctrine of plural marriage was revealed to him, he married 9 additional women. So that was something. And then the rest details traveling to Utah and then death. Then we have Wilfred. Come on, load up. Wilford Woodruff. Distant cousin. Oh, 7th cousin, 6 times removed. Oh. Another prophet who followed the last guy. Member of the Nauvoo, Illinois 4th Ward, member of Zion's Camp, one of the original pioneers of Utah, who moved out to the Great Salt Lake Valley area, fostered agriculture, manufacturing, basically helped sort of bring that, build it up, building the old fort, served as a missionary to the eastern states, and was also president of the Deseret Agriculture and Manufacturing Society. Also succeeded as the church historian, a very important role, of course, documenting the history of the church. Sustained the present. The famous manifesto was issued by him. That's the manifesto that was accepted by the General Conference that put an end to the polygamy of marriages. And then we will end with Brigham Young, who was born in 1801, and he's let's see. So he became the prophet of the church after Joseph Smith died. He became the leader of the church, and also what I didn't realize, he was also the first governor of the Utah Territory.
Wow.
So when it became an official territory, on the way to statehood, he was the first governor of that. So I did not realize that there's sort of a political as well as a religious part to his life. His family were originally Methodists, and then became connected to Joseph Smith and baptized into the church. And Joseph had picked him out as sometime. At one point in the future, the time will come when Brother Brigham Young will preside over the church, which indeed had happened. Sooner than he probably wanted, or anyone would have predicted, because of Joseph Smith's murder. And of course, he led the church and pioneering companies to Utah. And there we go. And that is it in a nutshell.
So while you were talking, I was looking at card. And
Okay.
You mentioned card. So I was looking at card and I was going back because I really like playing connection checkers this week. But
Yeah.
I have, I have friends that are LDS, and of course my one brother, but I don't really have any connections. And so this was a tough week for me. Like you said, this is like out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But because I was doing connection checkers, I found the exact person, exact moment that left West Virginia for Utah. So that was kind of cool, but I wouldn't have thought about it until you mentioned card. And I said, well, let me see how it's related and go through the verification. So you never know. You might think a week that you have feature profiles you're not really connected or don't know, but you might find, like you said, another nugget.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Excellent. So let's see. I think we can end off with what's coming up. So we already talked about, of course, WikiTree Week, which is from November 1st to the 8th, which includes the WikiTree Day birthday, which is November 5th, and then, of course, the free symposium on the 7th. And if you register, then you're eligible for prizes. So please do that. Join us there. But before that week, there are other things that are happening, of course. New members Zoom with our very own Denise.
This Sunday, yes.
This Sunday. And we'll
Come join me.
Come join Denise.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow already. And then Monday will be another question of the week. The one name study is the hall. Did you say do we already know the theme for next week's? Or was that the place name that we knew?
No, I don't think so.
No, I no, it was a mistake. I said that the next week one name study was Morse.
Right.
because of our member of the week, but it's this week's.
Oh, this week it was Morse. Okay. Path Fork, Kentucky. That's a cool name. That's a cool name, Sam.
Path Fork?
Path Fork. It's not Pitchfork. And then we will have our regular Hacktoberfest. And as long as there's no extra funerals coming my way, it will be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Daylight Time. So please join us there to find out what's happened this week. Annie Hall. I mean, Diane Keaton passed away. That's very sad.
Unexpected. Didn't see that one.
Yeah.
No. Then there'll be a Friday date night, Zoom, and then meet our members, and we'll be back next Saturday.
Yes.
There we go. So that's what's coming up.
And next Saturday, I will be going over the 12 photos.
Ooh.
Family reunion is the theme. So
nice.
you've got until next Saturday to get more. There's pictures out there. Thank everyone for who have put pictures out there, but let's get some more volunteers. I've got some myself I need to put out there.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Let me tease one last thing I want to show you.
Oh.
This is a screenshot. This is a screenshot from the test server. But if you look closely, you will see it's just now I've logged out. So this is what a public view would look like, because when I'm logged in, it will show personal people who are alive. All of them said it's okay to say their name and show and stuff, but I thought, let's just show this. But if you look closely, this is me, Gregory P. Clark, son of Patrick Joseph Clark and Mary Bernadette McKiser. That's my mom and dad. Right, Rose. But look at this, biological son of Dwight Ashley Douglas and Pauline Denise Marcoux. This is a sneak preview because we're at the testing stage now where they're introducing the ability to have biological parents as well as adoptive parents connected to the
Great.
file.
That's such a big deal.
It's a huge deal. So if you want to become part of the testing, you need to email Jamie Nelson and ask to be put on that. Now we're only looking for experienced WikiTreeers who have been using it for a number of years, because it's still we're just in the baby steps of testing it now. It's just now going on a place where people other than the core programmers and core WikiTree team can see it. So this is sort of the first level out. I found a couple things that are interesting about it that they're probably working on, but if not, I've mentioned to Jamie. So, but it is exciting to see on one screen all 4 parents.
I was really excited to see when I played around with my own tree. It brought joy.
Yeah.
It truly brought joy. And for those of you that have, biological, non-biological, this is, I don't really use it for step parents, but this is for adoption and MPEs. It just brought joy. For joy when I was playing around testing it. So, and I'm curious to see how you're going to handle this with your band chart.
I will. Yes, for sure. Now, the one thing I do need to caution people, because Jamie said, so it's the first rollout of, will be a lot of testing and adding that stuff to the profile, but then the APIs, the way that the apps, query the databases and get that data, that stuff hasn't been built in yet. And that's sort of always a stage 2 thing, because they have to make sure that the logistics work on the public site and where people enter data and interact with profiles. And then they have to make sure. So then once they've got all those kinks worked out, then they have to add the API to the connection so the programmers can get access to this new set of data. But I've already got ideas in mind of how this is going to work. So one of them I'm not going to say it now, because then we'll go past the 12 noon. But anyways, I've got thoughts. But we should stop now. I'll leave you with that teaser.
Yes, a teaser,
and maybe if you come in and join me on Thursday for the Hacktoberfest, I can give you a teaser then. Okay, so come join me then.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Anyways, have a great week, everyone. Thank you for joining
Yeah.
us and sticking with us. There are 30 hardy souls who have stuck with us for this megathon, but it was a fun time.
Mhm.
And so we will see you sometime this week for one event or another.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Mhm.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
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 See you.